This is Cobbler. Wow. So if your preference is not to hear explicit language, this episode of Squad Cobbler is definitely not for you. Because, wow.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Squat Cobbler. This is episode 78. I'm Mike, and joining me, as always...
Hey, everybody, this is Kelly at KELLYTHUL on Twitter and Instagram.
Oh, gosh darn it, I didn't tell people where they could find me. You can find me at Official Pagan on everything.
Professionalism, Mike. Professionalism.
I know. Drats and tarnation.
That's the kind of language you're going to hear this whole podcast, folks.
Did you see what I was doing there, Kelly?
Yes, I did.
Also, too, while we're at it, as long as we're telling people where they can find us, we should tell them that they should subscribe as well.
We should get that out of the way because we don't seem to remember it at the end of the show. They really should either subscribe through the blog, nurtureandsupport.net, or go to YouTube, search on Kelly Tool, THUL, and subscribe there. And you can get the podcast in all their glory and playlists.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times we made it to the end of an episode and we're like, shucks, we should have really remembered.
It's like, jeepers, Mike. We should have reminded folks.
Well, we're back to our prisoner exchange tonight, and boy, do we have a doozy for you guys.
And when we say we, this is Mike's recommendation. So I would like to make that abundantly clear as we begin.
So, all right, before we get into anything, Kelly, top line reaction.
We've talked many times about in the prisoner exchange, when was that album going to come along that the other person was just going to go, no, I don't think so. So this isn't that. You know, I don't dislike this album, but I would put it at the bottom of the list of all the ones you've recommended so far.
I have a feeling this was going to be dangerously close to the dislike.
I'm not at dislike. I'm not in love with it either. There's really only one song that I'm not a fan of that would be a skip. But realistically, given this album, it's going to be more energy to skip than just to wait it out. Because none of these songs are more than like, they all clock in around, and the average time is about 1 minute and 5 seconds.
Yeah, I guess you can sit through a minute of something you're not particularly a fan of.
Yeah, it's over fairly quickly. If you're not
darn it. You know what I just realized?
What's that?
We've gotten this far and we haven't told people what the album is.
We haven't. So perhaps we should. Wow. So we got the subscribe to us thing down. Now we just forgot to talk about the topic. So Mike, why don't you share with the listeners what we're going to be reviewing tonight?
Well, if you haven't figured out it already, we are listening to the classic Dwarves album, Blood, Guts, and
Squirrel.
Kelly, what was your top line reaction to me suggesting this album?
Top line reaction was a sinking feeling about the amount of creative YouTube editing I'm going to need to do when this bad boy makes its way to YouTube. And even more than ever before, even the supporting blog post, I've got work to do, I think. And even the album art, I think I have work to do to kind of make this work. So that was my top line reaction.
Well, and to be fair, in my defense here, I did give you the option of us not doing it.
Yeah, you did. I felt I'd been judged if I had said no.
You felt the strong urge to listen to Blood, Guts, and
Squirrel
by the Dwarves?
I wouldn't say that.
Well, since you did bring up the artwork, Kelly, what were your thoughts on the cover?
So it's not one you're going to see in its entirety on the blog post or it's a YouTube thumbnail.
There is a censored version of it.
Okay, well, I'll have to find that. It is striking.
Good word.
I mean, it's only missing. Yeah, I think there's probably even a little bit of guts on it. It pretty much captures all the elements of the title of the album in the cover.
Which, I mean, what more could you possibly ask for?
Yeah, it was a fairly literal interpretation.
So for anyone who isn't familiar with the cover, and there is a recurring theme of nudity and little people on Dwarves album covers. But on this particular album, you get two naked women covered in blood and a naked little person who is holding, I believe, a dead chicken, it looks like.
Yeah.
I assume it's dead. I shouldn't make an assumption about
that's right.
it
Might be resting.
Yeah. Could be a Resting Chicken. Resting Chicken's a good punk band name.
That's a really good one.
So at this point, Kelly, you hear the title, you see the album art. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking so I've seen the artwork. I've read through the track listing. I had a hunch I was going to hear some kind of high-paced, driving, thrashy music and kind of fit the bill for that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is an album that misleads you.
No, absolutely not. It does not. Because basically every song title is pretty much 90% of the lyrics. And so it is right on track.
So I discovered this album. So are you familiar with the Dwarves at all, Kelly?
This is my first exposure to the Dwarves.
So long-standing punk outfit, for anyone who doesn't know, influential band in that scene. I knew they existed. I was never particularly a big fan, though. This record was released in 1990, but I came across it years after that. I don't remember specifically when, but I was in a record shop with a friend of mine, and we were just flipping through albums, not looking for anything in particular. And as soon as I saw this album cover, I stopped, and I told my friend, I'm buying this album. Just based on the cover. And he was like, what does it sound like? I said, I have no idea, but I've heard of the Dwarves before. I just, as far as I knew, hadn't actually listened to them. But based on the album cover, then looking at the song titles, to me, it was worth the risk of, $10 of allowance money or whatever it was to pick this one up. Are you ever, in the days when record stores were still the way we massively consumed music, did you ever do that, Kelly? Just buy something entirely based on an album title or cover?
I have. Blood Rock was a pickup exclusively on the cover and the title.
Interesting. And how did that work out for you?
Not great. It was okay, but I felt you should probably go a level deeper before you make future purchasing decisions.
Well, I wasn't disappointed in my purchase with this. The only downside, so this is I'm not even going to say pre-streaming on your phone. This is pre-iPods. I had this on CD and I had a Discman. And if this was, so CDs were larger. They consumed more space. And if you're going to school, you could only, fit an unlimited number of CDs in your school bag along with your actual books you needed. So you had to be careful about what CDs you chose. And the one downside of choosing this as one of the CDs, because I really liked this album, is, as Kelly mentioned, the songs are very short. In fact, the entire 12-song album clocks in at 13 minutes and change. So, we're probably longer already talking about this than the actual album is, or at least in line with that. So it did make it a difficult choice sometimes when I had to leave some other CD that had more material on it at home because I enjoyed listening to this.
Yeah, it's you can fit it in between class periods pretty easily.
Yeah, this is one, and like Kelly said, I mean, it's not worth the energy of a skip here or there, but this is an album that you can just so easily put on and listen to the entire thing.
It does not take long, folks.
No, I did my refresher for this 20 minutes before we started, working my way through the whole album.
Yes.
So, you ready to get started, Kelly?
I am ready.
Okay. Now, the real question is, are we going to need a visit from Cobbler Wren on this one?
I think Cobbler Wren's going to put in overtime on this one for the YouTube version.
I mean, we've only said the album title twice.
Yeah.
So what could go wrong?
But there's so much more to come.
Okay, so we're going to start off with track 1, Backseat of My Car. Now, as Kelly mentioned, these are driving songs. There's a raw sort of punk energy to all this. One of the things that Kelly and I like to talk about, and usually Kelly delves into this a little more than me, is the lyrics of songs. And Kelly also already mentioned the lyrics to this album. He's way ahead of me on this. He already mentioned the lyrics to this. So I thought it was important to share with you, because Backseat of My Car is a popular song for this band. I thought it was important to share with you lyrics that I feel get across the point of the album or the general vibe that this album is going to give you. And who knows, maybe Kelly's going to pick up some tattoo lyrics off of this one.
I find that highly unlikely.
We'll see as we work our way through it. Don't shut yourself off to the experience.
Sure.
In this song, we are treated to the poetry of, and I hope, I want to get,
Nope.
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 I want to get,
Nope. 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 Nope.
in the back seat of my car. Now,
Yeah.
Kelly,
So so you asked the question, would Cobbler Rent be busy?
I didn't write that.
Well,
That
I'm
doesn't
aware.
count. That's a quote.
Yeah.
I did not write this album.
Yeah. You're a saint. Continue.
I am doing my due diligence for the listeners who want to know what they're getting into with an album called Blood, Guts, and
Squirrel.
Yeah, because they wouldn't have had any clue going into it. So thanks
they
for
were like, what is this, Christian folk?
That's right.
But I do think, we're both first song guys. I think this song definitely sets a tone that pretty much doesn't let up for the entire album. What are your thoughts, Kelly?
Yeah, it sets a tone that I would agree. I would say also you pretty much get the song construction at this point that you're going to hear variations of throughout the whole thing as well. I did, as in my notes in kind of multiple places, I really feel that what captured it for me is there's different bands being possessed by the devil, and that results in the song. And so this one, and I'm pleased to say I have beaten Mike to the punch on this one. If the Beach Boys were possessed by the devil, backseat of my car might be one of their songs, because it kind of is like my first note was thrash surfing, and then I said, okay, this is a Beach Boys demon possession song.
Nice. I like that. I have a few Alice references coming up, so
okay.
Strap in. Okay, so that brings us to song number 2. We're just blazing through this thing.
Yeah, talking longer about each song than they run.
So I don't have a whole lot of notes on this one. I always really like this song. It's really chaotic in the beginning, and then halfway through, like the minute mark, it switches up, and it's more of like a bass-driven kind of groove to it. It's one of the few sort of unexpected changes that you get on this album, which otherwise is pretty much just straightforward driving punk. Your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, this is actually the opus of the album, clocking in at a total time of 1 minute and 35 seconds. Longest song on the album.
It's the proggy, self-indulgent.
Yes, the Ingata Vita of this album. And I did in my notes say, there was this very nice and interesting shift that occurred midway through the song, which is pretty impressive to pull off in 1 minute and 35 seconds. So props there. From there, a lot of this album is kind of like fire up a motorcycle engine, and you'll let it run, and off it goes. This one was like, they kind of gave it a little more gas, or kind of shifted gears on that. So it was kind of a cool thing, and it did make this song one of the more diverse songs on it. But so I thought the tempo change, or the tonality change, was pretty cool.
I agree, sir. So we're just blazing right along here. Again, no tangents.
That's right. I don't have the heart for it.
Keeping things pretty clean so far too.
Yeah. Why don't you talk about the next song there, Mike?
Oh, the next song?
Nope.
Yeah. What about that one, shall we?
So track number 3 is called Let's.
Nope.
We're back down to ABD level lengths at just over a minute. I have another quote. Another potential tattoo lyric for Kelly, because I feel like we can get a tattoo for Kelly out of this one.
I think you're incorrect, but continue.
It's the kind of poetry you don't necessarily get with some bands, but the Dwarves deliver. I am the best
Nope. Nope.
in the whole USA. I can
Nope.
you to death. I can
Nope.
you to stay. I am the best
Nope. Nope.
in the whole
Nope.
world. It's kind of beautiful, really. I think in today's day and age, that sort of self-confidence speaks to people.
And highly focused. I think, you can give them credit for that. I did actually lyrically, this one kicks off with the first lyric of eyeballs for breakfast, which is kind of a attention grabber. This is definitely one of the ones where, the title pretty much covers the majority of the lyrics of the song. And we're treated with sound effects as well. So
I was going to get into that. I'm glad you brought that up, Kelly.
Yeah, me too. Good. Continue.
So in I don't know if I would say like ASMR kind of way.
Probably not.
But there's some field recordings that are included in this one. And this is not the only track on the album that does this, but there's some sound effects layered on top there. Again, it's not an album like I keep joking around, but it's not an album of a lot of depth. And that's what I like about the album. It knows what it is. It doesn't try to be more than that. But when they are able to put a little bit of a twist on a song, I feel like it makes it that much more effective. So the porn samples in this do work well.
Sure.
Okay. So anything else to add to Let's
Nope.
Kelly?
No, I have nothing to add.
Okay. You sure? We can come back to Let's
Nope.
if you want.
Okay, well, I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay. So moving right along then, again, no tangents. We have Drugstore. This kind of reminds me of the Ramones a little bit, but like if the Ramones looked a lot dirtier and more homeless. Your thoughts, Kelly?
So I have another demon possession here. This will be a bit of a surprise, and this will be the Vapors. So this would be if the Vapors were possessed by demons, and of course the Vapors' big hit was I Think I'm Turning Japanese. And I just felt in Drugstore there were hints of a little bit of that construct, not anywhere close to kind of any sort of knockoff or whatever that song, but there were just moments where I go, yeah, if the Vapors were possessed by demons and we're singing about a drugstore, this could be them. Another good set of lyrics here. Mike and I seem to be centering on different portions of the lyrics, but the one that I found pretty interesting, I got a good chuckle out of was, I killed my mother and my dad did not approve. They're always telling me what to do. So I thought it was nice.
Gotta hate him. Your dad's always like, don't kill your mom.
Like, get off my back, man.
Don't tell me how to live my life.
Or in moms.
Kelly, don't make this dark and weird.
Yeah, sorry.
Which brings us to our next song, Skin Poppin' Slut. Now, Kelly.
Yeah, it was on the short list of baby names for me, when I was going through. It just didn't make the cut at the end.
It was super close.
Super close.
Did your wife ultimately choose the names?
Yes. I think Skin Popping Slut kind of disqualified me from
Forever.
Yeah.
Well, on this song, Kelly, I felt like when he makes the declaration of I am just a slut, that's something we can all relate to. I feel like this is the everyman song.
That's a point of view. I did like the hey, what's what? I thought that was pretty cool. It's nice to have kind of a run of words that I'm not going to have to edit out later.
What could you possibly have to edit so far in this one?
On this song, I think I'm okay. We're into the lighter fare at this point.
we made it through the brush.
Yeah, but well, it's whenever you're ready to go to the next song.
And that's
Nope.
You Up and Get High.
Possibly the most romantic song on this album.
I just like the honesty and straightforwardness of this record. I think that that's what punk music is supposed to be about. It's conveying a simple idea. I don't know if simple is the right word. Straightforward, rudimentary, just breaking something down to its core parts. And this song does that. And this album as a whole does that. Did you have any specifics on
Nope.
You Up and Get High that you wanted to share?
No, just beyond, like I said, it's probably the most touching song on this album. So,
The tearjerker, the sentimental one.
Indeed.
Well, that brings us to another song that also has some sound effects in it. And that, of course, is Insect. So this has some fly sounds, which actually work, considering how old this album is. It was recorded in 89, released in 1990 on Sub Pop, which is of note because Sub Pop went on to become obviously a very famous record label. This song uses some fly sounds that work really well in headphones. Even today, when I was listening to it just prior to coming on here, it holds up really well. And this is going to be my first Alice reference, which is, of course, we've had some fly effects in Alice songs too. And that always reminds me of it.
So I didn't get that connection.
So you were listening to Insect? You weren't like Alice Cooper.
No, did not.
No?
I did wonder what their big issue is. It's a very anti-insect song, which I felt was unnecessary for the insects. I also felt in terms of the demon possession. In this case, it was Hee Haw. Hee Haw was possessed by a demon for this song.
Okay. Well, that brings us to our next song. Again, just moving right along, just plowing through this thing. Brings us right. And by the way, so is Cobbler Wren, I get like maybe
Nope.
Or
Nope.
You Up and Get High, but is Cobbler Wren going to have anything to say about Insect?
Cobbler's going to have to reflect upon that because the YouTube gods are stringent gods in terms of some of their things. But I think that might be one we let roll and find out if we get smacked. I do. If I ever return to the world of monetization, I'm not even going to waste my time with this one.
Blood, guts, and
Squirrel.
he is not the one.
No, it will just stay in a non-monetized status forever.
Was it me reading? I want to get.
Nope.
Don't want to get.
Nope. 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 Nope.
To the backseat of my car.
Now, of course, that'll all be Cobbler remmed out, but there's still enough other stuff going on that this is Mike and I are creating art for the sake of art.
I like that. Art for the sake of art.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing here.
That's what we're doing.
All right. Well, that brings us to the 8th song, Flesh Tantrum, which I think might be my favorite title on the album. I absolutely love the song title, Flesh Tantrum. This is definitely the most raw audio quality on the album. Not that anything on here could be accused of being overly polished or too produced. This is the most raw sounding. This one definitely gives you the feel of being at like a dingy basement show where they're, selling people $5 cans of PBR.
Probably not the first occurrence of dingy for me on this one, but so also I had best title in my notes. I think it's Flesh Tantrum's outstanding title. And while the recordings on a relative basis more raw than the other stuff, I do also think it had probably the greatest guitar variation in terms of just kind of how they were coming across, which just added kind of a nice, interesting point to it.
Very nice. All right. So again, moving right along here. Our next one up is SFVD. And all I'm going to share with this song is the anthemic refrain of "Give Me AIDS."
Yeah, an odd goal, I would say. And that was in my notes originally. I had "Give me AIDS?" ? Because I was like, maybe I misheard that. But then I did some deep internet research to kind of further make sure I had full appreciation of the nuanced language that runs throughout this album. And sure enough, I heard it correctly. Yeah, so that's the thing. Everybody needs an antibody is also a lyric in this song, which I actually kind of hold in higher regard than "Give Me AIDS." So I think everybody needs an antibody is pretty cool.
See, we might get you a tattoo lyric out of this one yet.
Yeah, keep hope alive, Mike.
All right, well, moving right along, number 10. See, this is the fastest we've ever made it through 10 tracks.
Thank God.
And it's been relatively painless, right?
It's been fast.
I'll take it. So that brings us to What Hit You. What I like about this song is there's a lot there. I shouldn't say a lot. There's a handful of punk songs that really just, to me, feel like punching somebody in the mosh pit. Not make me feel like that, but this is what that feels like. This is like the soundtrack to punching somebody in the mosh pit, but like a basement mosh pit. And there's not a whole lot of songs that give that. Like I would give the example of Hank 3's Punch Fight.
Nope.
Which is dedicated to Gigi Allen, who I think, would probably be a Blood, Guts, and
Squirrel
fan. What were your thoughts on this one, sir?
So this was my, if it was worth the energy to skip, this would probably be, this was of everything. This was the one that just, I was kind of least enthusiastic about. What hit you? I think at this point in time, I think everybody knows what's going to hit them in this song. And so we'll go into that. Like I said, this one just going through was just, I totally get what you're saying, in terms of if you were to kind of depict what this sonically conveys. Totally get your point on that. It's just, for me, this was my least favorite.
Makes sense. It's probably the one that's the most forgettable for me. While there's no skips, and again, it's 13-minute and change album, there really shouldn't be skips on there. It's probably the least memorable of the batch for me. And I'm glad that it wasn't either of our last two. That was just skip. So that brings us to Astro Boy. And Kelly, if you were ever going to get a lyric tattooed to you, might I suggest, well, death is like a woman drinking rocket fuel. I'll get a little bomb and detonate on my school.
Yeah, you can make that suggestion if you like. Wouldn't keep too much hope alive on it, but yeah. I did appreciate, as I mentioned, kind of the title service spoilers to the majority of the lyrics on it. But I did like the fact that they did further clarify he is the Astro Boy in this song repeatedly. So that was nice. Just in case you were a little fuzzy on it.
Well, sir, It's a shame to get towards the end because I feel like we're having fun. I feel like the pacing of this is great, just like the album itself. But we're here. We're at the final song. It's a sad moment. But you shouldn't tear up because the last song is Mother.
Nope.
And boy, is it fun.
I would agree.
This is my second Alice reference that I'm going to make.
Oh my God. Right?
And I know if you were like, what's the second Alice song he's going to make a reference to? It's definitely Mother.
Nope.
But I feel like this brings out that when Alice was channeling the Broadway musical version of Gangs,
Okay.
You get a little bit of that at the end for me. What are your thoughts, sir?
So this was actually my favorite song on the album.
Wait, can you just say Mother?
Nope.
Was my favorite song on the album.
Mother
Nope.
was my favorite song on the album. Happy.
Oh, so much.
Folks on YouTube, I just said the name of the title. You're not going to know, but just on that. Some interesting moments here because at the tail end of this little treasure, all of a sudden you get, if you were to take the song's primary lyrics and mash them into The Bird's the Word, you get that version of it at the tail end, which I then found some fairly interesting things that, do you know who did The Bird's the Word, Mike?
No, I don't.
So neither did I, and I'm still not sure I 100% do, but actually I think what you and I are most familiar with is a song called Surfin' Bird by the Trashmen.
Correct.
Which is the combination of two previous songs by the Rivingtons. Papa Mau Mau was one song, and Bird's the Word was another song, and the Trashmen put those two really rich concepts together to create Surfin' Bird from there. And we get that makes somewhat of an appearance at the tail end of the song. Was pretty good. I'm praying to God you're not going to quote some of the lyrics on this one. There's some remarkable unpleasantries at the start of the song. But also
remarkable unpleasantry.
Yes.
I love that.
In about the middle section, there's some almost, so I've mentioned on previous podcasts, Nick Van Marth, who works with Tony O'Kay. More on that in a second. But Nick Van Marth, who has worked with Tony O'Kay, is a world-class growler, guttural kind of guy, and he does some amazing stuff on Tonio's albums, particularly America in the Murs Suite. But I think in this song, they were at Nick Van Marth level of growling and that stuff. So that's very cool. The reason I additionally bring up Nick Van Marth and Tony O'Kay is that the next Prisoner Exchange that we're going to do is a Tony O'Kay album called La Bamba. That is also on the shorter side. It's 5 songs. They're a little bit longer than any of these, but again, just kind of a short process. But as a spoiler, as we review that album, one of the things I'll be bringing up to Mike in this process will be some references to the book of Proverbs, which...
Wait, did you not have any biblical references for Blood, Guts, and
Squirrel?
I did not. And I wanted to provide just a bit of contrast for the listeners to say, there'll be some book of Proverbs references in the next one if you'll forgive us and come back. So there's that.
I think this is a great song, and much like Detention Girl, as Kelly mentioned, there is a dramatic shift in it. And when you're working in such tight confines as these barely cracking a minute songs, I do think it's impressive to work that into something so small. A couple more notes before we let you go on this one. The vinyl edition of this actually does not include Astro Boy or Mother.
Nope.
Which is a shame because I think they're both great songs, but it does give you
Name Withheld
in their place.
How lucky vinyl owners are.
There was also a reissue of this with bonus tracks.
Nope.
Ked and She's a
Bad Word.
Yeah, I think I've come to the conclusion that none of this is going on YouTube. I just think let's just leave it.
That was the making point. Like up until now, you were like, okay, all right, mother.
Nope. Name Withheld.
Okay, but She's a
Bad Word.
You're like, you know what? No,
the collection of blows. it's.
So when you were starting the Nurture and Support Network, were you like, someday the words
Name Withheld
will be spoken?
When I began to work more with you, yes. This does not come as a surprise.
It felt like someday.
Felt like perhaps it happened later than I anticipated, but yes, I really can't say I'm surprised.
You know, the last few episodes have been really clean, so
well, we took care of that.
This album, though, was an album that had a big impact on me. I was really into punk music at the time, and I still am, but At the time, I was in punk bands. I was a terrible bass player in those bands. I was a bad bass player. The bands were equally bad. It was terrible. So this really just spoke to me. It's simple. It's catchy. It's to the point. This was an album that stuck with me. It's an album I still break out every once in a while and listen to. I've literally listened to it hundreds and hundreds of times, which isn't a feat because it's only 13 minutes long. But it's an album I enjoy. It's fun. It's simple. It's not trying to be smart. It's just like angry, dumb, drunken fun. And sometimes that's okay. Not every album needs to be long, progressive, overly produced. Like sometimes you need something like this as a palate cleanser or a change of pace. So that's why I recommended this one. It's also worth noting before we leave that this was named by Spin Magazine the most offensive album ever made.
I think those folks at Spin, they got a pretty good call. There's probably some Dead Kennedy stuff that could give it a run for its money, but
yeah, I think there's worse. If we were really going to try, I think we could find worse.
Yeah, we don't have to try though.
I'm going to have to take it easy on Kelly now with the next couple ones.
This might be a rare Cobbler Wren appearance on the podcast, though, on the blog, because typically Cobbler just shows up on YouTube to kind of clean stuff up for us. But he might enter this one just to kind of make sure folks know, because we know there's a lot of young families that love Squat Cobbler, the little squatties in the back listening to it. And we want to just give them a heads up. that
I would hate to see them get all the way to Insect. Be like, you know what? I don't think this is all right for the kids.
I think they would have determined that a lot earlier. Perhaps when you quoted the lyrics from the first song.
Are you talking about Backseat of My Car?
Yes, I am.
Which lyric?
You want to get it out of your system one more time? Go ahead.
I mean, if you're going to insist, Kelly, we should leave the people with more of that magic.
So we'll let Mike take us out with his dramatic rendition and reading of some of the lyrics from Backseat of My Car.
And I hope, and I hope, and I hope, and I hope. I want to get
Nope.
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 I want to get
Nope. 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 Nope.
in the back seat of my car.
Thanks for listening, one person that made through this.
Thanks, guy.